Welcome to Finding the Balance between Profitability, Service and Sanity as part of National Conveyancing Week. Hosting us today we have David Opie, co-chair at the Conveyancing Foundation and Managing Director of Today's Media. He is joined by Simon McCrum, Managing Director at McCrum Consulting.
Hello, welcome to Tuesday afternoon of National Conveyancing Week 2025. Today I have Simon McCrum here with me, talking about finding the balance between profitability, service and sanity. I'm really looking forward to this particular session because Simon's background, as I'm sure he will explain, is running law firms. He's got experience of having his boots on the ground, if you like, and also, and quite importantly for the context of today, has extensive experience running conveyancing teams as well. So you're expecting, Simon, to be fair, some pushback from some of what you have to say today, but it's taken in the context of born out of your own experiences.
Okay, thank you very much. So I am a solicitor, not a conveyancing solicitor. And if I could just refine one of the points you just made about me, I have had in my firm conveyancing teams. There were conveyancing team leaders that I engaged with. I was the managing partner. So I've listened to my own conveyancers, but also as I travel around the world now, helping law firms become what I call the perfect legal business. Most often there is a conveyancing team that I engage with and listen to and try and support and help to become successful in three fundamental ways. And the three fundamental ways that I look at are actually in the title of today's session. It's like three legs of a stool. Without one of those legs, it isn't a success. And the three legs of the stool that I'll be looking at in terms of success here in a conveyancing team are profitability, service, and sanity. You take one of those three legs away, there's little point doing it, and it's actually not going to last sustainably and grow sustainably. So it is important. Profitability, service, and sanity. Now, let me have a look. Where's profitability important? Well, profitability is important for all sorts of reasons. That's the interests of the firm. But it's not just the firm, is it? It's the interests of the people in the conveyancing team. I don't know many lawyers and business support staff and enablers, as I call them, in conveyancing teams who don't want pay rises. Of course they do. It's only natural. It's why I used to go to work. So there has to be profit. The normal difficulty that legal teams have doesn't exist here, and it's one of the reasons why residential conveyancing teams are a real golden nugget for a law firm, because one of the problems that other teams have doesn't exist, and it's called cash, payment of bills. You rarely see a conveyancing team that has got debtors, and that's a great asset. So it's very much in the interests of every law firm, not just to have conveyancing as a client aid, but actually as a real generator of the cash that the business needs. And of course, if a fuller service law firm can generate that kind of cash, it allows the firm to have what I call slower burn teams as well. Slower burn in terms of commercial work, or even slower than that, personal injury and clinical negligence work. It's a real asset, but it has to work profitably to more than wash its own face, because you need great people in the conveyancing team to stay and recognize that their future is there. Okay, so that's the profit. The next thing, though, is service, because of course one of the ways you can make great profit in any legal work is just do an awful lot of it. Take on anything. Now, that's profits well covered, isn't it? That's lots of money when we get round to billing it, but it's not quite on all fours with service, because we all have, law firms have limited manpower. Each person in the team has limited capacity. Once it's full, if you forgive the blunt, the graphic example, the metaphor that I use, once the vessel is full, it's very hard to get more good service out of a lawyer who's already stressed and whose desk is full. So there's a tension immediately between service and profitability. They don't always go together. And then we come to the third leg of the stool that is the title of this, sanity. I don't think we all realize what being a lawyer does to us. When I stopped being a lawyer, it took, I would say, 18 months for my head to stop and for me to recover the balance, the circumspection, the calmness, the fight or flight mentality to abate completely. We've got to protect lawyers' well-being, and that's another challenge to profitability. So the profit devil is maybe stood there shouting on your shoulder, take it on, meet their fee, match their, do it for the price they want. That doesn't help service, and it absolutely doesn't help sanity. So we've got to get this right. And is there a way of achieving what look like actually quite fraught opposing positions here? I believe there is. I believe there's a way of there's no such thing in life as a magic wand. I genuinely believe we can make progress, though. I genuinely believe we can improve all three. Now, often when I start talking in the way I'm about to talk, I am met with sometimes outright rejection. Simon, you don't know. Simon, you don't get it. Simon, you don't get it anyway. And I'm universally met with, Simon, you don't get it in this town. Around here, that won't work. I get this everywhere. And believe me, it does work. It just needs the lawyers and the teams to come together and go, okay, let's start thinking in a new way. Doesn't need to be big bang. Big bang really does scare the horses if we're looking at trying to get a whole team on board to a new way of thinking. Scaring the horses isn't a good way to go. So let's just start developing our thinking, trying things and being bolstered by early successes, but keep going. And actually not being put off by early failures. They're not failures, they're learning experiences, but keep going. But we've got to get away from trying to look for profitability, service and sanity without changing anything. Because if you carry on doing things the same way, it's the well-known saying, of course, is you're going to get the same results. So we've got to get the interests of the firm, the client, and absolutely crucially, the lawyers in place. And as I say, we've got a great starting point here because we don't have the hugely, in fact, I need to add something else. Not only do we not have the huge difficulty that legal teams normally have, which is called getting paid, actually conveyancing teams of late have been able to generate another source of revenue altogether, called interest earned. And I know the SRA is looking at it, and I know the Bank of England are looking at it, and it might be on its way out. But certainly it's if we can just get the three legs of the stool right, then you can see why I, for one, as a managing partner, hugely valued the conveyancing team. And as I'll come to something else, remember this phrase, 007, a license to bill. And I'll come back to that later. So let's have a look at the pressures that conveyancing teams are under as we begin to move down to what I'm going to recommend is a new way of thinking, a new approach. And some people are already doing this. Firms I've worked with, they are now doing this big style and it works. So let me give you that as an early validation if you are inclined to say, sorry, it won't work. It does. So what do clients want? If I asked if I was stood in front of you all and I had a flip chart and I was asking you to draw up a client's wish list when it comes to conveyancing, and I've been there multiple times in my adult life when I've been the client of conveyancers around the country in different guises. What do clients want? They want it to be fast. They want to be your only client. They want it simple. It's got to be simple, hasn't it? How hard can it be? Obstacles? Don't give me obstacles. don't want obstacles. I want certainty. This is just a path. When we're going to complete? And that's the understandable mindset that someone who isn't involved in the conveyancing process thinks. Even non-conveyancing lawyers think it should be direct and simple and a path of certainty. Oh, and free would be good. If not free, it has to be cheap. And the price you've given me, that's absolutely it, isn't it? Now, that's all well and good for a client, isn't it? But you can see some tensions in there. There's another one I'd add, which is, I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of being the client of a conveyancer somewhere around the country. You hear different stories, and I've felt it myself at different times during my life. The start of the process is hard. You conveyancers and lawyers, and including myself as managing partner, how hard can it be? Get on with it. We've sent you a load of forms, fill them in. We want a load of stuff from you. Actually, when you don't do law, it's actually a bit of a deluge. And again, what the clients want is a quick start to the process. So that's what they want. If we now look at what the business wants, and not so the business in money terms, then I'm going to look at what a regulated law firm, a regulated firm of solicitors wants, or licensed conveyancers. What does the business want? Actually wants to do a good job. Who's in business? Which law firm is in business to do a poor job? They aren't. They want to do a good job, a job they're proud of, because, of course, everyone who buys a house is out there at work, at the golf club, in the pub, whatever. They're your marketing team. Your clients are your marketing team. So obviously, any right-thinking business wants to do a good job. Actually, wait a minute. If you look at in any law firm, the team that opens the most files, i.e. the team that's got the most clients, is conveyancing. Dozens, if not more, hundreds a month. What an incredible source of business that is for any law firm. So, of course, a right-thinking law firm wants to do a good job. But it's not all about doing a good job. That helps the client. What about the business? The business is all about profit and cash. Cash isn't a problem here, but profit is. The business needs that conveyancing job, every conveyancing job, to be done at a good price. That's diametrically opposed to what the clients usually want. Of course, we get clients who deserve a sainthood, that want you to earn a good living and all of that, but they're very few and far between. Normally what you get is people ringing round, seeing if you'll match the lowest, if you'll beat the lowest price they've got. That is not what the business needs. And the other thing is, every one of those files you open in residential conveyancing could lead to a complaint, which is getting worse because, professional indemnity insurers are now beginning to look at complaints more and more because they're a root cause of claims, but actually it could lead to a claim. And if you haven't been sat in the renewal seat trying to renew your professional indemnity insurance with a long list of claims or notified against you, you haven't lived. So the business, and it might have to pay out, of course, if it's carrying the risk, it is only commercially right that it gets a premium for that risk, a price. So that's what the business needs. But what do the lawyers want? Never have I met a lawyer who didn't care. Pride in job. I never see that. I never see a lawyer who doesn't care. I very often see lawyers who just can't get round to delivering the service that they are really proud of. And in fact, some are embarrassed. I hear this many, many times around the country, around the world. I just cannot deliver the service. The reason is, of course, caseload. Why have they got a big caseload? Because they need to hit the targets because of the profit imperative that I was talking about earlier. That's normally seen as the route to hit that, what is seen as the overriding target. Lawyers, what else do the lawyer want? They want people to have a new life in a new home and take the family on the journey and bring them into the fold in the law firm in general, in the wider sense. I've got colleagues that are great. We'll look after you and your family going forward for generations. That's what they want. And they want a decent fee because actually we've all got self-respect. I'm doing a good job. I am going to be working. I'm going to be thinking about your case morning, noon, and night. So that's what the three areas want, the three stakeholders. How do we reconcile all of this? Well, we need to, because it goes wrong. Now, where does it go wrong? It goes wrong very early in the process. I see, not universally, but what I'm saying is these errors in approach still exist, and widely. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Don't think that where you are and how you do things is the only way. They go wrong often as soon as it comes to price. And what you have, and I've done it, it's been done to me in the area of work I was in, clients ring up and they say, listen, I've been quoted, I'm going to pick a figure, £700. Can you beat that? The temptation is to say we can do it for 650 or something like that. That's where it goes wrong, or that's where I'm going to invite you to start thinking, no, that's not where we're going. Our price is actually, and this is the kind of differential I am thinking about on that level of fee, our price is actually £950. Now that's quite a short conversation, isn't it? Sorry, you've been offered 700, we're 950. I think I know where that phone call will go. Thank you very much, goodbye. So you need more than that. There isn't an adult in this country probably who hasn't bought a house over the decades of their life. I wonder what they think of the process when they went through it. Bearing in mind that a lot of the law firms that they will have used over the last few decades, some might not have moved for 10 or 20 years. The lawyers will have been taking on everything that came their way at not the highest of prices. And what would have happened is very busy lawyers might well have dealt with their conveyance. I've had very busy lawyers deal with mine. I'm telling you, it was a nightmare. I've had some amazing lawyers deal with my conveyances over the years, and I've had some absolute, I can't tell you, and it is soul destroying. And so that work on the basis that some of your clients may have had a bad experience and some may have had a great experience. By the by, if they've had a great experience, why are they ringing you? Think about it. So they're ringing you because maybe it wasn't a great experience last time. So now start thinking about the conversation you can have. The conversation is, okay, you're ringing, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, you are ringing around asking for prices. We don't talk about prices. Can we tell you what we do, how we do it, and what you will experience? You won't have to chase us. We will chase you. We will chase the other side. You will get our full time and attention, and what we will do is we will work to our service pledge. The entire team here works to our service pledge, which can be summed up in three words: push and tell. And those of you that have read my first book, The Perfect Legal Business, will know that I talk at length about push and tell. Push the case, tell the client. Both of those fall down when the lawyer has got too many files. You can't push the case. And you certainly, there's nothing to tell the client because you haven't pushed the case. Or you push the case, but you haven't got time to do that one extra email that will change the client's week. Push and tell. Now, instead of push and tell, very often what law firms see and deliver is store and snatch. The case is somewhere it used to be on the back of a desk. Now it's in an inbox somewhere. It's stored. And then when the client rings up or a complaint is made or a date is approaching, you snatch time on it. Store and snatch instead of push and tell. Well, I've had push and tell. It was amazing. It really was. I've had store and snatch as well. It was horrific. Going into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not knowing what's happening when the completion date is approaching. The lawyers cared. Of course they cared, but they just couldn't get round to it. And it's not fair on them. So what we need to do is a new way of thinking, which is we do it differently. I call it, the phrase I use is, you're going to get a Bentley service. You've asked about the price of it. The price is $950. So if someone's offering you 700, I'd take it. if you're in this for price. If you're in this for peace, clarity, certainty, progress, fight, then that's our price. What we don't do is Bentley service for Ford price. Bentley service, Bentley price. And if it's not for you, that's fine. Now, when I use these words around the country in my work with law firms, what I get is, no, it's not, no, it's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen in this part of the country. There's well, if you go outside on your high streets, wherever you are in the country, just look at the cars that are there. There are Fords. Have you noticed how many Audis there are? Mercedes. There's always people that want quality of service and who are willing to pay for it. If it is your aim to serve every client, whoever they are, and at whatever price they can afford, then of course you will reject out of hand what I'm saying. If you want to change clients' lives, you can't change every client's life. That rings you. There has to be a bar. And I talk about raising the bar. The beginning of our journey to balance the three things we're talking about here, which is profitability, service, and sanity. The beginning of the journey is to raise the bar. But you can't raise the bar if actually you're going to charge a Bentley price, you're going to promise a Bentley service, and then you're going to deliver a Ford service. Nothing wrong with Fords, by the way. We own one. But it just graphically helps with understanding how you can have a differentiator here. And the differentiator is client experience. If you don't deliver that, then you're not going to, your message is not going to last. Your reviews are not going to be good, your client feedback, and actually all the risk that was there while you piled the files high is still there. So there has to be a bar raising exercise where fees go up, files go down. And often what I do is we have graphs when I'm working with law firms where we have to watch file openings go down. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? But give it a chance. Think about it. Take less on and watch what you can do. If you take less on, profit goes down unless price goes up. But service goes up, and by goodness, sanity goes up. Client sanity as well, as it happens. You don't get clients, because if you can't push and tell, if you can't push the case and tell the client where it's up to all the time, clients will do what I used to do when I didn't hear anything. Just as you are mind-bogglingly busy, what do clients do because they haven't heard from you? They ring you. They email you, and you're now on a spiral downwards, a vicious circle where they are chasing you because you're not. You can get away from there. Have a system where you push every case, tell every client everything, but they've got to pay for it. It's your equivalent of leather seats and all-round compartmentalized air conditioning and quadraphonic sound. That's your Bentley service. But if you don't pay for it, I've got a lovely story about this. I won't name the gentleman. If he's on this call, I welcome him to make himself known. But the firm I used to be a partner in, we launched a system called Connect to Law, which was a referral and support system for small law firms. We were a 50 million turnover law firm called Pannoni, and we supported smaller firms around the country to look after their clients. Not to steal their clients, but to support them. And as part of this, I lived in a car for years, traveling around the country, working with and meeting high street law firms. And I arrived at a gentleman's office in a small town, and I looked through the door, and there on the back wall was a sign that said conveyancing services. Then this was a lot of money, believe it or not at the time, £125 per hour. To cut a long story short, when I was in the gentleman's office, I said, "You charge for residential conveyancing by the hour?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Oh my goodness." He said, "Tell me, your firm, Pannoni's, do you do conveyancing?" "Yes, we do." "Right, how much would you charge for a sale at X and a purchase at Y pounds?" And I had our scale fees there, and I told him, and he said, I would send that down the road. I would not take that. I wouldn't open that file. I said, why? What would you charge? It was precisely double, but it was only an estimate, of course, because he charged on a time basis for conveyancing. I said, I just don't know how you can secure any work doing that. It just goes again. You're the only person I've ever met that does conveyancing for an hourly rate. The gentleman said to me, how long have you been here this morning, Simon? I said, 40 minutes. He said, has my phone rang? I said, it hasn't. He said, it never does. I ring everybody all the time. I charge double your fees. They refer clients to me. I'm beautifully busy. I've never given a better service. So funnily enough, without realizing it, he addressed in what he's about to say, the three legs of the stool we're looking at. I've never made as much money. I've never delivered a better service, and I've never been happier. Now that's quite an extreme to go, and I'm not saying that if you don't do that, you've failed, but it just shows you there are people out, not only are there people out there who will pay a good price for that peace of mind and certainty and community, the push and tell, but actually they'll then start telling people who will start telling people, because all too often, through no fault on the part of an individual lawyer, their workload and their caseload and the way their business operates has meant to make money at the requisite level, they've taken on too many files. Now, the bar is too low, raise the bar, Bentley service, and deliver on it. Empty words won't get anyone here far for long. And deliver on it and charge a good price for it. Now, profit goes up, service goes up, and the lawyer's sanity goes up. The other thing is pride returns. Pride, those lawyers that habitually say to me, it's not why I came into the law. Now you can help the client with the next part of their journey. No one wins. So how do we do this? What is the way ahead? In my model that I write about in The Perfect Legal Business, The Perfect Lawyer, and most recently The Perfect Partner, I talk about the 10 or so pieces of jigsaw. They apply to a conveyancing team as much as they apply to a corporate finance team or a matrimonial team or a law firm as a whole. There's a journey to go on, and have some bits of jigsaw in place that might look awkwardly shaped, but if you put them together, they give you the freedom to push back at what you might feel are unopposable market forces. They aren't. This works. Firstly, you do need differentiators. A differentiator. We will make this experience, if your last experience was bad and you're ringing us for the first time, so if, common sense is telling me if you were so delighted with your lawyers last time, you'd be ringing them. If your service was bad, it's going to be different this time because of our service pledge. Everything we do is geared around it, our systems, our staffing, our support within our team, and you will get push and tell. That's what you're going to get. Now, for that, we charge a price. It's not for everybody, but our price is X. Now then, that's the core price. You ought also to build in some escape from that, because there's a number of things can go wrong. The behavior of the client, the behavior of the other side. You only have to look at LinkedIn to look at the complaints that are made by residential conveyancers at what I might call traditional firms about the delays they are encountering and frankly, the additional work they are having to do because of the service the other side are getting from there. And the phrase is often used, warehouse lawyers. You should not have to pay for that. So we need to build in the retainer an additional fee if you are being run ragged by the other side, or if you are being run ragged by your client, or if the deal changes at all. When you're delivering a Bentley service, you get paid for it all, whether it's the core job or the additional work. So let's craft that and build in. Your fee might be based on the fact that we could comfortably complete this transaction within X weeks. If it's outside of that, then the fixed fee will be open to renegotiation, because it won't be because of us. Okay, that's the retainer defined. So differentiators, core price, retainer defined. Then you have got to deliver. That's the bad news. But actually, it's good news, isn't it? We're changing clients' lives. Anyone that has ever worked with me or listened to me knows I'm passionate about lawyers being part of life's great journey, whether it's a business life or a family life. We can change clients' lives. Let's get you into your new home without you being on the ceiling, as I have been during my lifetime, not knowing where the case is up to, not knowing when we are completing, not knowing why no one's ringing me back, even though I've rung numerous times. So I've seen the highs and the lows. And I tell you, I will go to the people that have looked after me with the highs. Next time, I will not be ringing round for a price. The last lawyer who looked after a sale for me, I will be going direct to her. Will I be asking what her price is? It just won't be important, to be honest. And that's what I'm hoping to convey to you. Then we've got to do the work, push the case, tell the clients. Now, actually, let's be honest, sometimes it's mayhem, isn't it? Particularly at different times of the month, different times of the year, depending on what's happening with the tax year and so on. Sometimes, as long as the swan's looking smooth, the legs underneath can be going crazy. So that's delivering on it. Now, why is it? That's it. 3 simple bits of jigsaw. Deliver a service pledge, raise the bar, raise the price, but deliver. That's 4 bits of jigsaw. Deliver. Build up the faith. And you cannot get to that. You cannot build the faith in your new thinking if you're taking on everything and you're just crushed all the time still. You have to get to a point where you're thinking, we've got less cases. Wow. Why has our billing gone up? It works. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Now, I told you about the gentleman who took this to extremes, and it worked. Who sent work away that once upon a time he thought was his lifeblood. Send it away, not for me. And actually, I'm going to hold that mysterious character up now as the Lord of Profitability, Service, and Sanity. It works hugely. All it needs is differentiators, organization, but it needs confidence. It needs confidence on the part of lawyers to say, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's raise the bar from today. The work levels will subside. That will allow us to really make a promise to clients that we deliver. That will allow us to design the script. The script is no longer just our number. The script is what you get when you use us, Bentley Service. What you're doing, and the reason the firm ought to support this, if your firm does more than just conveyancing, is what this allows you to do is blow apart the traditional law firm model. The traditional law firm model, if I had a flip chart, I'd draw it out for you. In comes the client, let's say the conveyancing team. In they come. They're not a client. They're a house, and then they leave. Often they're not over enamored with the service, and then next time they need a lawyer, they'll be ringing around looking for the best price in conveyancing or some other area of work, employment, matrimonial, personal injury, business, whatever it is. No, the business needs to support conveyancing team in its new line of thinking here, because conveyancing, it can and should generate profit. That profit is all cash typically. But it's what a catcher of new clients for the rest of the firm. So the firm should support it as its case numbers subside, as its file openings subside, as it goes on this journey of profitability towards profitability, service, and sanity. Support it, and then the firm can engage with all these clients. And I mentioned earlier, 007, what you've then got is, instead of a client being opening matter 001, house sale, and maybe matter 2, house purchase, instead of that, they are now on board to matter 3, matter 4. Then you are now their lawyers. You are now their family's lawyers. In the meantime, all too often, I see law firms ignoring that possibility and spending a fortune on a new website. Why? So you can generate hundreds more inquiries every month from people who want the cheapest price. It's madness. Come away from there. Bentley service, Bentley price, 007. 001s who want the cheapest price, not interested. This stuff works. It's how my law firm became the UK's fastest growing law firm. We just looked after existing clients. We got two of the three parts right. We looked after existing clients. We cross-cared. It's not cross-selling, it's cross-cared. We just didn't charge a Bentley price, and I could kick myself for that, but I didn't know then what I know now. So I help law firms avoid that. There's your business strategy. In the meantime, you're going to go on, law firms are going to go on a partners away day or an all-staff strategy day, come up with all sorts of stuff, none of which evolves around Bentley service, Bentley price, 007. It all seems to revolve around 001s. Again, I just wouldn't go there. It's hard work. So have the courage to say no. The law firm as a whole should support you. So those are my thoughts on conveyancing and how you can absolutely reach a balance, a beautiful balance between profitability, service, and sanity. Those are words that we designed for this session, but they're all falls completely with the language I use in all my work, all my writings, all my speaking. Do less, better, for more. That's it. I was guilty of this. I've in every firm I've been at, we did it. You think heightened activity, heightened numbers, increasing numbers of cases, and you think that's the route to success. There is another way. You really can balance profitability, service, and sanity. Do less, better, for more. David, does that make sense?
Simon, thank you so much for joining and for sharing your insight. Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And one of the things I particularly like about what you have to say is there's a huge amount of practical advice there as well. I do think that firms need that takeaway, that's something they can put their finger on and say, do you know what, I can go into the office tomorrow, I can take that with me as an idea of something that we can implement. And I think that's so important. So yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And I love, it's a mantra that we have within our own business. I love that definition of insanity. If you continue to do the same things over and over and expect different results, it's the very definition of insanity, isn't it?
It is. And here, so let me tell you what I think successes, the early successes are that ought to galvanize. We all need a bit of success to sort of give us a little boost. The first success I would encourage law firms to achieve is to have a script ready. Now, often there's a mechanical system, and this is hard, of course, because a lot of conveyancing quotes are given automatically at midnight or something by people going on a website. You can build this in. You can build this into your quotes, your automatic quotation system, or you add it into your verbal, your telephone quotation, or your email systems of providing quotes. You've got to be. We charge more, but can I tell you can get cheaper than us? But can I tell you why? If you haven't got the why, then you're kind of dead in the water with your higher prices. We tell you why. We assure you of the following. Now, of every 10 people that look at your 950, to carry on the example, 950, there's going to be few that say, yeah, sorry, it's all good. I can't, I'll do without that. I can save 300 quid. I tell you, there's enough people will go, wow, that's very different to my last experience. I'll have it. And don't forget, because your prices are significantly higher, you don't need as many take-ons. And also don't forget, those clients are going to be blown away by your service. And before long, you're going to be doing their wills, their powers of attorney, and so on. The business is going to... So what happened in my firm is conveyancing clients got one of these. Okay? This is a box. This was often what you see in conveyancing teams. Somewhere in the letter, it says you need a will. No, bring them on board. We gave them, here's my portfolio. This is mine, I did it. Look, there's my, I don't know if it's in focus, there's my will, my powers of attorney, my life insurance certificates. The business needs to think outside of conveyancing, because if all you want is a few quid out of a client, it's going to be an uphill battle. So have the courage, and the firm needs to have the courage to support the conveyancing team as it raises the bar.
Well, that's as much as we've got time for today. It's been absolutely fantastic to have your insights and expertise for National Conveyancing Week, Simon. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So that's it for Tuesday in National Conveyancing Week. Can I remind you that throughout the course of this week, we've got an awful lot going on, which is absolutely fantastic. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we have a session talking about recruitment, cultivation of staff, how we train people internally. It's very difficult to bring people into our organizations, particularly conveyancers at the moment. So how do we cultivate our own? We've also got a session about trailblazers, women under 40 who are trailblazers in the profession. Absolutely fantastic session that's being run by Jess Smith. Thursday, really looking forward to Thursday. We've got the session all about the TA6 with Mark Evans, Vice President of the Law Society. And of course, we have the collaboration coffee morning. I hope that people are getting involved and are engaged in that. And then finally on Friday, we have our Fun Friday quiz, which is being hosted by the fabulous Bricks and Banter. So we look forward to seeing you for the rest of this week. And thank you very much indeed for all of your engagement.